my name is Lena Woodson, and I am here from the Edythe J Veterans Project. And here I have a veteran, and your name is?
Pruden.
Well, it's nice to meet you, and he served in the Army. So my first question for you today is, where were you born?
In Rasmus, Indiana.
And what branch of service did you serve in
Army.
In the Army?
I was a Master Sergeant E8 when I retired.
Wow. And did you go to war at all?
Yes. Went to Korea in 1951 and 52, and I was in Vietnam in 68 and 69. And I had tours in Germany as well, and then I was back in Korea long after the war, and served a tour there in 58, 59.
That's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So what was serving during wartime like?
Well, it was interesting. In fact, I actually enlisted out of a kind of a spirit of adventure. I thought if I didn't get into the Korean War, I'd never see another war, and that turned out to be wrong. But I enlisted, and it was quite a tour. I took basic training in Hawaii, and they told us that just because we were halfway to Korea didn't mean that we were going on to Korea after we finished basic. And that was true. I think there were 2 out of our 3,000 man group that went to Europe, and the rest of us went to Korea. So not everybody went to Korea, but most of us did.
Was it harder for the people who went to Europe, or just?
I imagine it was not. Europe was pretty good duty, as I learned when I got a chance to go. Korean War was not fun. Many people called it the land of the morning calm, and we called it the land of the morning dew. I have never in my life seen dew like Korea in a fall morning around September and October. I mean, you can drown in that dew in Korea. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Wow. So, how did the war serving in the military change you, and how did it change your outlook on life?
Well, I grew up. I learned that you have to do exactly what you're told to do in combat, or you don't survive. I learned that. And I was in one of the best places I could be. I was trained to be a field wireman in the Signal Corps. I got to Korea and I was assigned to a tank battalion, and I was a bow gunner, which was a position they don't have on tanks anymore. We had a 5-man crew, a bow gunner, a driver, gunner, loader, and tank commander. Now they skip the bow gunner and just driver, gunner, loader, and tank commander. But as bow gunner, I learned quite a bit about maintaining a tank, keeping it running, and learned also that the tank is a very good place to be when you're being shot at, because not much can penetrate the tank. And as far as changing my life, I guess it was just a process of growing up. When I was promoted to NCO, I had to learn how to be an NCO and how to lead troops and get their respect and get them to do what they were supposed to do. And learning that was quite a chore, but I grew up and learned.
I bet. So did it shape your friends? Like, did you distance yourself once you came back from those people who weren't as mature as you?
One friend stayed with me. I still have him as a friend. He was the gunner on the tank when I was the bow gunner, and I had never been taught anything in basic training. I only had the first 6 weeks, and then I went to Signal Corps training. I knew nothing about the machine guns on the tank. He had to show me how to disassemble and assemble the machine guns. I was never taught about the .45 pistol. I was taught the M1 rifle, so the sidearm for tankers is the .45 pistol. He taught me about that, how to disassemble it, assemble it, how to load it and fire it. Taught me about the carbine, and then he became the tank commander, and I moved up to gunner, and he taught me all I knew about tank gunnery, which was quite an extensive teaching chore for him, I think, but I learned, and I got to be a pretty good gunner, maybe not as good as he. His name was Frank Trozanowski. He's from Pittsburgh, and we kept up after the war, and he was an usher at my first wedding. So he we stayed in touch pretty much.
That's amazing. So did it change your relationship with your family being in the war?
Not with my mother, but a little bit with my father. My mother was somewhat opposed to my going in and enlisting. My father, he was neutral on it. And he served in the Army. He was in from 1927 to 1936. In fact, I was born into the Army. And he was in again from 1942 to 45. He was a hospital corpsman. And I think he gained a little more respect for me, the fact that I had been to war and had been in combat, even though it was in a tank and not just a fatigue jacket around me. I had a tank surrounding me. But I think it changed his relationship to me and not so much mine with him.
Well, I bet, because it takes a lot of guts to get out there and do anything. So where were the times during your service that you were afraid?
I remember a time we were in a position on one ridge line, and we were firing on a ridge line opposite across the valley. And we knew we thought we knew where the observation post was, that they were observing us. And we started receiving fire. They told us we would only receive mortar fire, but the first round that came in, the dirt all flew one direction. Mortars don't do that. Mortars go straight up. This was a direct fire weapon, and it could hurt a tank. And the platoon leader backed his tank out and backed down over the hill, and I saw a round land right in the middle of the road where we had to go. So I told the loader to put a smoke round, white phosphorus round, in the gun. We'd fire that and try to smoke the OP so they couldn't see us. And when he tried to load it, white phosphorus rounds were notorious for separating from the shell case. The projectile was stuck in the gun tube, and he couldn't load the shell case, so he just pulled it out and scattered powder pellets around over the turret floor. And I told him, just set it down and we'll keep on backing out. And he sat down, he was under one of the radios, and he had his hands over his head, and he looked up at me and he said, "Are you scared?" And I said, "You bet you I'm scared." And well, then it's okay for me to be scared too then. So we backed on out and we didn't receive another round. And we got back down the reverse slope of the hill where we were completely safe, and that was it. Of course, we had to take the tank to ordnance to get that projectile out of the gun tube. We couldn't get it out with the rammer staff. So
That's amazing. So what are your best good memories about being in the military for the war?
Well, being in the war, it was, we were a close-knit group. And you actually do begin feeling like this is the best tank crew in this unit, and this is the best platoon in this company, and this is the best company in this battalion, and this is the best battalion in this division, and this is the best division in the Army. You really begin to feel that. And I learned that this esprit de corps does not come about from the top down, it's from the bottom up. And you just kind of grow into it, and it can't be imposed on people. It has to come from the ground up.
So, do you have any distinctive bad memories about being in the war?
No, not really. You just being shot at is kind of a bad memory. The other interesting thing, well, there was a time that we were on that ridge that I told you about, firing on the other ridge, and the ridge on our side was honeycombed with trenches, and the South Korean Army was holding those trenches. And we went up and made contact with them naturally. And the ridge was actually a U-shaped ridge. And they were on the south side, and over here, right where it started to curve, there were North Koreans. There was about 25 yards between the two trenches. And they shouted insults back and forth to one another all the time. And it was fun to go up there, and you're in that trench, and you're looking across. You can't see anybody, but you know that 25 yards away is a soldier who'd like to kill you, but he can't get to you to do that.
Oh, wow. And what lessons did you learn about life at this time?
Well, I learned that you don't always get exactly what you want. And sometimes you get something better than what you wanted. And sometimes it's worse, but you have to do the best you can when you can. And that's all you can do anytime. And another thing I learned was don't shirk the small things. Make sure the small things get done, and then the big things will.
And where were you stationed?
Well, in Korea, during the war, we never knew where we were. I only saw one map all the time I was in Korea. I was a tank commander, but maps didn't come below platoon leader level. I never saw one. So I don't know exactly where I was. I know I was at Heartbreak Ridge. I learned that afterwards. And other than that, I don't know about the places in Korea. I was stationed at Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. That's where I got my basic training. I was stationed at Fort Sam Houston for reassignment. I was stationed at Fort Hood for a week. I arrived on a Saturday. I was assigned to a unit on Monday. On Wednesday, I went down and volunteered for overseas duty. And they said, "You might go back to Korea." I said, "That's fine. It's not Fort Hood. Just send me any place, but get me away from Fort Hood." Didn't like that place. And I left on a Saturday. I was there a week. I was in Germany. I was stationed just outside Mannheim at a place called Coleman Barracks. Sandhofen, Germany. I was stationed at Camp Irwin, California on the Mojave Desert. It's now Fort Irwin, the Army Desert Warfare Training Center. When I was there, it was also, we trained all tank battalions west of the Mississippi River. And I served in various occupations there at Camp Irwin. I was a first sergeant, battalion operations sergeant. Running a range and various and sundry things. Then I was back in Korea, and this time I was stationed at, it was strange. They sent me to Korea and assigned me to Company C of the 23rd Transportation Battalion of the 1st Cavalry Division. And I wondered, what am I doing as a tanker in a transportation unit? And I found out they had personnel carriers, armored personnel carriers, which are tracked vehicles, and they assumed that a tanker would know all about tracked vehicles. I knew nothing about the personnel carriers. And the only thing I did there, I did teach a class to a group of Korean soldiers on disassembly, assembly, nomenclature, and functioning of the caliber 50 machine gun. And that was fun, teaching through an interpreter. You had no idea whether he was translating what you said exactly or not. And I don't know how he handled things such as the belt lever stud cam groove. I don't know how he handled anything like that. But anyway, it was fun teaching that. And then I was pulled out and sent to the 1st Cavalry Division pistol team, and I spent a lot of my time from then on in competitive shooting.
Wow. And so well, I know that you decided that you wanted to go into service. You weren't drafted.
That's right.
And what do you remember specifically about the war?
One thing that I still see in my mind, where we were moving up, to this one position and firing in support of the infantry all day. I found out later we were firing in support of the attack on Heartbreak Ridge. And we did this several days, and there was one place, we traveled through a river for a little ways, and there was the body of a North Korean soldier lying on a sandbar in that river. And we could watch his body just deteriorate over the 4 or 5 days that we were driving past it. And that's something that's kind of stuck in my mind. Well, the incident where we were re-ammoing our tanks, again firing on Heartbreak Ridge, and an artillery unit moved in just where we were, and they were digging in the spades on their guns. This fellow tossed his shovel aside, it landed on a mine, blew up. Nobody was hurt, the shovel went flying up in the air, and another guy was out there planting an aiming stake. They told him right there, and he put it down, and it detonated a mine, and it flipped him up, and he landed on his back. And he got up and walked over, and he got in the half track, and he said, "I'm rotating 3 days. I'm not going back out in that field." The battery commander called to have engineers come in and clear the mines and got all of his people out. And I assume the engineers got the mines cleared out before they put the artillery back in there.
Hopefully. And do you have any advice for kids my age and during that generation?
The advice I have is, this is a great country, and you need to know that to the depth of your soul. This is a great country, and you need to do all you can to keep it a great country.
Well, thank you so much for allowing you to take your time and let me